Hi everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to Unacademy's YouTube channel. My name is Hafsa Malik. Please let me know if I am audible and visible. Please let me know if I'm audible and visible. Good afternoon, good afternoon. Happy Friday to everybody. Happy Raksha Bandhan or Rakhi or what you call it. Welcome to class. Very good to see all of you. I'm going to start off in a moment. We are just very quickly going to talk about parametric and non-parametric tests. आज हम थोड़ी सी थोड़ा सा डिस्कशन करेंगे parametric और non-parametric test. All right, so waiting for others to join in as well. Good afternoon, good afternoon. Thank you for giving me a heads up. Thank you for letting me know that I'm audible and visible. चलिए, thank you so much. Let's get started. Since this is a quick session, ये 20 मिनट 25 मिनट का सेशन होगा, तो चलिए जल्दी से स्टार्ट करते हैं. All right, चलिए. Now, what are parametric and non-parametric tests? Are we aware that there are descriptive statistics and there are inferential statistics? क्या आपको पता है कि descriptive statistics होते हैं और inferential statistics होते हैं? Descriptive are just used for basically organizing data, for putting them in a tabular format, for making the data look clean, for drawing averages, for understanding deviations and all of that. ठीक है? तो organizations, grouping and वो सारी चीजें हम descriptive statistics में करते हैं. But if we actually want to draw inferences and if we want to derive meaning out of the data that we have collected and analyzed, we are going to use inferential statistics. Okay. There is a sort of, what do I say? There is a misassumption, yeah, misconception that all inferential statistics will allow you to generalize your results. That's not true. We'll get in and we'll find out. I will tell you all of that in today's class itself. So stay tuned. Now, my name is Hafsa Malik and I am your top educator for psychology on Unacademy. If you want to know a little bit more about me, this is a little bit more about me. I also really wanted to tell you about this amazing offer that Unacademy has going on. Unacademy का एक बड़ा अच्छा ऑफर चल रहा है अभी, जिसमें आपको अगर आप मेरा कोड यूज करेंगे मेरे क्लासेस लेने के लिए, आई हैव रिसेंटली स्टार्टेड अ न्यू बैच. मैंने 27 जुलाई को ही दिसंबर एग्जाम के लिए नया बैच स्टार्ट किया है. I teach psychology and I teach all of it, all 10 units. ठीक है? I teach for GATE. This batch is for GATE psychology also, so that you can apply to IITs. This is for NET JRF also. This is for clinical psychology also. This is basically for all psychology exams across India. So 27 July को ये start हुआ है. Classes are 5 p.m. every day, Monday to Friday. So go ahead, join in and all of that. If you do want to study with me, if you like my classes, you can go ahead and enroll. आप यहाँ पे subscription देख सकते हैं. You can check out the kinds of subscriptions you get over here. So today, if you use the code Hafsa Live, you will get, today is the last day for this offer. You'll get a 20% off on your amount. इस पे आपको additional, क्या है यहाँ पे 10 नहीं but 20% off मिलेगा. And for 6 months subscription, you will get 1 month free. For 12 months, you'll get 3 months free. And for 24 months, you'll get 6 months free. So go ahead and enroll. Chaliye. All right. Now that that is done, good afternoon. Good afternoon. My group on Telegram is Net with Hafsa. Go ahead and join if you want to see many of my free classes, paid classes, whatever it is that you want. If you want information regarding my classes, ये group आप join कर लो. Then what do we have? Special classes होती हैं Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday. 7:30 p.m. Free classes हैं ये. These are free classes. These can be found on Unacademy. All you have to do is you have to download the app and you have to start watching free classes. Okay, you can use code Hafsa Live to unlock these classes as well. Chaliye. All right. Now, are we aware what a parameter means and what a statistic means? क्या आपको पता है कि parameter किस चीज को कहते हैं और statistic किस चीज को कहते हैं? What is a parameter and what is a statistic? Are you aware of the difference between the two? Now, parameter is a data point about the population. ये information है जो population के बारे में होती है. And statistic is something or data which is related to the sample. Okay. So can I say whether descriptive or whether inferential statistics all actually give us data about the sample and not the population? क्या हम ऐसा कह सकते हैं कि डिस्क्रिप्टिव एंड इन्फरेंशियल स्टेटिस्टिक्स जो होती हैं वो सिर्फ हमें सैंपल और ना कि पॉपुलेशन का डेटा देती हैं? Absolutely, very, very good. All statistics or statistic, okay, basically indicates that this is data of the sample, not data of the population, right? Now we know that parameters, maybe you can do a population study once in a while, maybe you can do a census once in a few years, वो country level पे होता है. आप as an individual researcher, you alone cannot collect data from the whole population. So what we like to do is we collect data from the sample and we want to generalize. We want to collect sample data, data that is representative of the population, a sample which is representative of the population. And later we want to generalize. ये हमारी aim होती है. So which tests allow us to do this and which tests do not allow us to do this? Now that we are very, very clear with the definition of parameter as well as statistics, let's go on to parametric and, sorry for that, for parametric and non-parametric tests. Okay, all right, चलिए ठीक है. So what are we talking about here? Parametric versus non-parametric. Can I say because the word parametric is used here, would they be more likely to allow us to generalize our findings? क्या हम ऐसा कह सकते हैं कि parametric test का मतलब ही है कि जो आप sample पे find करते हो वो आप population पे apply कर सकते हो? Can I say that? For a parametric test. So if you ever heard about the t-test, if you ever heard about the f-test or ANOVA test, if you ever heard about regression, if you ever heard about factor analysis, these are generally considered parametric tests. Okay? Alright, these are called what? Parametric tests. Parametric tests कौन-कौन से होते हैं? जो आपके t-test होते हैं, ANOVA होते हैं, ANOVAs repeated measure भी होता है या फिर regression या फिर factor analysis, वो सारे के सारे जो हैं parametric tests हैं क्योंकि उनमें जो methods use किए जाते हैं वो parametric हैं. तो पैरामेट्रिक का मतलब ही है कि जो यहाँ पे आप डेटा लेंगे सैंपल का वो रिप्रेजेंटेटिव सैंपल होगा. दैट्स गोइंग टू बी अ रिप्रेजेंटेटिव सैंपल इन पैरामेट्रिक टेस्ट. Okay, and therefore you will be able to apply to the population. What kind of sampling would I do in a parametric design? If my research design wants to apply a parametric test, what kind of sample should I take? Sample किस किस्म का होना चाहिए हमारा बताइए. I'm waiting. Please respond quickly. Quickly. Random sample or actually probability sample. It should be a probability method of sampling. Very, very good. Or simply you can say it should be random sampling. Very good. So let's look at the assumptions which are required here. एक पैरामेट्रिक टेस्ट अप्लाई करने के लिए कौन कौन सी assumptions या कौन कौन सी जरूरतें हमें यहाँ पे fulfill करनी है. First things are there are many assumptions actually. One of which is that you require a random or a probability sample. Okay. Then means are compared here. Now we know that measures of central tendency are mean, median and mode. What am I saying? Mean, median and mode. Mode is simply the frequency, median is the midpoint and mean is the arithmetic mean. क्या आपको ये पता है? Arithmetic mean. तो यहाँ पे वही arithmetic mean हम compare करते हैं. काफी groups का. If we actually want to have the control group and experimental group to be compared, we will compare the means of the two groups and not the mode or the median. Alright. Data has to be normal. Can I say that this data is normally distributed? And therefore randomly distributed? And again we go back to our random sampling wala assumption. नॉर्मली मतलब नॉर्मल कर्व पे जो डेटा हम प्लॉट कर पाए, इट इज नॉर्मली डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड और नॉर्मल डेटा. Then we require a larger sample. You will see for the simplest kind of parametric test, which is a t-test, you will require at least 25 to 30 participants in each group. At least. Ideally, इससे ज़्यादा हम prefer करते हैं. Alright? Okay, ठीक है, fine. Independent and paired samples. We can take the same group and repeat it multiple times. मतलब हम एक ही ग्रुप को बार बार different conditions में टेस्ट कर सकते हैं और हम अलग अलग ग्रुप्स को लेके उनको कंपेयर भी कर सकते हैं. We can either take independent or between group designs where we have two different groups or three different groups if we want to compare, or we can have the same group which will be tested again and again and again. Now here we will have continuous data. Can anybody tell me at what level continuous data is? I have explained this to you in the previous YouTube class. डेटा ऑर्डिनल होता है, नॉमिनल होता है, इंटरवल होता है और रेशियो होता है. So what kind of data is considered continuous? Okay, I'm still waiting. I'm waiting. Very, very good. So ideally we need to have at least interval data here. Interval and ratio data basically are considered continuous data. तो यहाँ पे at least interval data होना चाहिए. Now, this is, of course, used. All of these tests are used for hypothesis testing. Non-parametric tests are also used for hypothesis testing. Can draw conclusions and we expect homogeneity of variance. That means एक group में और दूसरे group में standard deviation similar होनी चाहिए. What do we mean by homogeneity of variance? That groups or curves of the outcome data of multiple different groups should not be too skewed or should not be too different from each other. The values may be different, but standard deviations should not differ too much in different types of data. Okay, all right, wonderful. Then let's talk about non-parametric tests. So common non-parametric tests are chi-square, Spearman's row correlation. Then you also have Kruskal-Wallis test, Wilcoxon sign rank test. Then you also have Mann-Whitney U test and Friedman's test. ठीक है? यहाँ पे no assumptions नहीं, there are few assumptions. थोड़ी सी assumptions हैं, actually एक दो ही हैं. That data needs to be at a what? Nominal, ordinal, interval or ratio. Data needs to be at an ordinal level. बस वही एक assumption है यहाँ पे. Rest it doesn't matter whether data is normal or non-normal. चाहे हमारे पास यहाँ skewed data हो या normally distributed data हो, matter नहीं करता है, कोई difference नहीं है. Median is compared rather than mean. Because in a skewed distribution, especially non-normal distribution, मतलब अगर हमारे पास random sample नहीं है, तो फिर उसकी distribution भी ऐसे bell curve होगी? नहीं, not necessarily. Curve might be like this also. Curve might be like this also. तो median नहीं change होता है. Median is robust to any, deviations or any unexpected deviations in the curve. तो हम यहाँ पे medians compare करते हैं, mean नहीं हम compare करेंगे. Okay, we are going to compare medians and not means. Normal as well as non-normal data. हम non-parametric test normal as well as non-normal data पे use कर सकते हैं. मतलब skewed data हो या normally distributed data हो, homogeneous sample हो, heterogeneous sample हो, does not matter. We don't care. Here, ideally, when we don't meet the assumptions for parametric tests, that is when we go for non-parametric tests. So smaller samples are generally used because it is ordinal data-based tests. Although Friedman's can use large data also. ठीक है? यहाँ पे भी independent भी आप sample ले सकते हैं, paired भी sample ले सकते हैं. That means you can take the same sample and test it multiple times, or you can actually take different samples and then compare all of them. ठीक है? तो यहाँ पे कभी कभी nominal data use होता है. Only chi-square here mostly uses nominal data. Now, used for hypothesis testing, absolutely homogeneity या heterogeneity फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. Can we generalize to the population? Can we take data from the sample here and generalize it to the population? The non-parametric tests? No, you will not be able to. You will not be able to do it. यहाँ पे नहीं, no generalization allowed. ठीक है? यहाँ पे generalization नहीं होगी. And one more thing that we need to understand is यहाँ पे outliers, मतलब any extremes of data do not matter. So standard deviation is homogeneous. Okay, it is not homogeneous. We don't care. Okay, homogeneity of variance is there or not? We don't care. All right. Now, do non-parametric tests seem a lot better than parametric tests? मतलब हमें नॉन पैरामेट्रिक टेस्ट तो कितनी फ्रीडम दे रहा है, तो क्यों ना हम नॉन पैरामेट्रिक टेस्ट ही हमेशा यूज करें. क्यों हम पैरामेट्रिक टेस्ट को यूज करना चाहते हैं. आपको ना डेटा की टेंशन है, ना होमोजेनिटी की टेंशन है, फिर क्या प्रॉब्लम क्या है. Why do we not use non-parametric tests always? Okay, now the simple answer actually is because parametric tests have more test power. मतलब जो हम यहाँ पे ढूंढ पाते हैं ना, whatever we are able to find through parametric tests will have lesser chances of committing type 2 error. All right, parametric test, less chance of committing type 2 error. Very, very important. Now, what we need to understand is again, simple tests like t-test or other tests are robust to type 1 error. मतलब अगर है effect तो ही दिखाएगा. But then sometimes even though there is effect, tests fail to pick up. Okay? So here test power for parametric test is much higher. मतलब अगर दो groups में difference है तो parametric test दिखाएंगे आपको कि difference है. Because of randomization or because of not randomization, actually you can call it random selection and then random assignment. ठीक है, और homogeneity of variance जो हम maintain करते हैं, us making sure that the sample is a representative of the population. So all of those things help us, or the methodology which it uses, the kind of data it uses is more accurate, right? So basically it reduces the chances of type 2 error as well as type 1 error. Type 1 error, parametric as well, non-parametric as well as non-parametric tests can avoid. ठीक है, ओके, एब्सोल्युटली, हाँ जी. एंड आप जब जनरलाइजेशन कर पाते हो, यू सी द होल पॉइंट ऑफ रिसर्च इज you put your heart, soul in, all of your sweat, blood and tears into it. And then if it doesn't amount to anything, मतलब अगर आप generalize नहीं कर पाए तो फिर क्या फायदा, right? You spend a lot of time, you put a lot of effort in creating your research study, and then you obviously want to generalize it. Therefore, we highly, lean towards parametric tests. Alright, तो parametric test को हम काफी prefer करते हैं. The last bit for the day, these are your different parametric tests and non-parametric tests जो हमारे interest के हैं. Now something I would like to tell all of you, any exam in psychology, whether it's NET, whether it's PGT, whether it's UPHSC, any PSC exam, any kind of exam at all in psychology, even clinical, you ought to know, मतलब आपके लिए जरूरी है जानना parametric test और उसका non-parametric equivalent. That means when assumptions are not met for a particular parametric test, which non-parametric test is used. So let me tell you all of these. We'll discuss them together and that will be it. Okay. So t-test for independent samples, also known as between subjects t-test. Can I say that there are two groups here? यहाँ पे दो group of participants हमारे पास होते हैं. Yes, we have two groups of participants where the two groups are not connected to each other and the two groups are not repeated. मतलब यहाँ पे जो दो samples हमारे पास हैं ये mutually exclusive हैं, मतलब एक group का participant दूसरे group में नहीं जाएगा, ठीक है? That is why we call it an independent samples t-test. Now t-test is a very simple parametric test which at the most will compare two groups. यहाँ पे आप दो group से ज़्यादा compare भी नहीं कर सकते हो t-test में. सैम्पल साइज जनरली एक ग्रुप में 25 to 30, 25 to 35 होता है, ज्यादा भी नहीं, अप टू 100, उससे ज्यादा नहीं. So Mann-Whitney U-test is actually, we'll cut off Wilcox and some rank is just another name. Mann-Whitney U-test is the non-parametric equivalent of independent t-test. ये आपको remember करना है, understand करना है. Very, very important. Okay. So here we simply compare two independent samples. Then we have paired t-test. Paired t-test या match t-test. I will explain. ये मैं आपको Unacademy पे explain करूंगी in the full batch what a matched design is. Matched or paired t-test uses the same formula everywhere, okay? Because we treat it as one sample. Paired sample का मतलब है कि same sample आप लेके बार-बार इसको अलग-अलग treatment conditions में repeat कर रहे हो. So here we are only able to repeat one sample another time. So two groups we are able to, or two conditions we are able to expose the same group to. And for that, as a non-parametric equivalent, we will use Wilcoxon signed rank test, where we actually subtract the difference in ranks in the end. ठीक है? उसके बाद Pearson correlation coefficient, which is denoted by small r. Alright, this is used in your regression design. This is used in your factor analysis as well. And this is parametric. You must always remember that it is parametric. That means it takes two variables or it correlates at least two or more variables also. And all of that data is continuous. वो continuous data होता है. इसका non-parametric equivalent है Spearman's rho. Spearman's rho uses ordinal variables and correlates those ordinal variables. Again, you can use two variables, three variables, as many as you like. Generally, we keep it to 5. Okay, then we have F test or ANOVA test, one way analysis of variance या ANOVA test, है ना? अब हमें पता है, अभी तो इतना तो आप सबको पता होगा that ANOVA uses or ANOVA is usually used to compare more than two groups, even though we can take two groups and compare it in ANOVA. But ideally, we like to use for two groups, up to two groups, we like to use t-test because very simple. And ideally for more than two groups is when we like to use analysis of variance test. Okay? So we are talking about one-way analysis of variance test, which has only one independent variable. One way matlab one independent variable. Two way matlab two independent variables. One independent variable which may be at multiple levels. Ideally, again, we don't exceed 5. So 1, 2, 3. More than 2, we'll take 3. Okay. And therefore, इसके लिए हम we cannot use Mann-Whitney again because Mann-Whitney U-test can be used to compare two groups which do not meet. Yeah, it can be used to compare data of two groups which doesn't meet the assumptions for independent t-test. अब यहाँ पे अगर हमारा डेटा assumptions नहीं मीट करता है अनोवा के तो कौन सा टेस्ट हम अप्लाई करेंगे? We will use Kruskal-Wallis H test. Kruskal-Wallis H test is the non-parametric equivalent for our one-way ANOVA. ठीक है? It is a non-parametric equivalent for your one-way ANOVA. And then we also have two-way analysis of variance, which simply has two independent variables. Here we can also, it's not the same. आपको पता होगा repeated measures ANOVA क्या होता है? In which basically the same group is taken and repeated multiple times under different treatment conditions. And uska non-parametric equivalent as well as two-way ANOVA ka non-parametric equivalent is basically Friedman's test, also known as Friedman's ANOVA. Okay? Because here you can use a lot of sample as well. आप high number of participants use कर सकते हो Friedman's test में, no restrictions. Alright, really good method. So these are your parametric tests and their non-parametric equivalents as well. Alright, we'll talk a little bit about chi-square as well and then we are done. If there are any doubts here, please ask. आपको अगर यहाँ पे कोई doubt है तो पूछिए. Please ask. I will do that, Sanjeevni. I'll do. All right, चलिए ठीक है. All right. Lastly, we'll talk about chi-square. Very important test, chi-square. Chi-square is a non-parametric test. Which actually just compares frequencies. And frequencies basically refers to nominal data. ये nominal data ही use करता है. So this generally will have at least two groups. And both of these two groups are always mutually exclusive. Alright, both of these groups are always going to be mutually exclusive. मतलब एक participant दूसरे group में repeat नहीं हो सकता है, never ever. You will see that we draw tables like this and you will have contingency tables. You will have expected scores first and then you will have observed scores. Okay, how many men, how many women will vote for so and so party? Alright, vote for A or B, depending on whether your participants are male or female, right? So you have two groups, you have two variables. What do? You simply compare frequencies. So you have your expected score first, उसके बाद observed score आता है, and your total is present here. To find degrees of freedom, or we'll talk about degrees of freedom much later. If you actually want to find how much each contingency table, ये जो table होता है, ये जो एक box होता है, how much it contributes to the whole table, what do? You basically take observed frequency minus expected frequency whole square divided by expected frequency. You can also say FO minus FE whole square divided by FE. Like, all right. You'll get many questions on this, and we will study all of these topics in depth in the main course, the complete course, which is going on Unacademy right now. So if you are keen on joining, please come join. We have a lot more to study. There is a lot more to learn. If you like my classes, please go ahead and join. If there are any doubts, please ask. With that, we are done. I will see you all at 5 p.m. Until then, please take good care of yourself. Bye, guys. If you like the class, please upvote it, like, share, subscribe, and all of that. Bye bye.